Let's talk about Jack's gonna lose us a lot of subscribers when we get into the Cleveland Browns here. $7 million over the cap, loaded defense, solid offense. It's a bit of a team that's ready to win now, actually, when you look at what the defense that they have and some of the offensive players. Hopefully Nick Chubb I still can't believe that Nick Chubb's injury wasn't career.
That hurt my fantasy team too, big time.
I remember you texted me, like, of course I drafted Brown, and he gets his leg blown up on Thursday Night Football. The problem with Cleveland, though, and this is what we're going to talk about. Ziggy presented this question. This is a Robert Ziegler question. It's, what do you do with Deshaun Watson? Is Deshaun Watson, he's not living up to this 5-year, $230 million deal at all. He's coming off a fracture in his right shoulder. I mean, think about all the quarterbacks who have had right shoulder injuries. You have guys like Drew Brees who have it, and then they come back and ball out. But that's really just the one situation. Most of the time, it's not good when your quarterback's throwing shoulder is the issue. His QBR the past 2 years, 40.4 in 2022 and 42.9 in the 6 starts last year. But the one bright side you could say, if you're trying to find if you're really trying to find a silver lining with Deshaun Watson, is the best performance you saw him have with the Browns was that Ravens game right before he got hurt. But here we go. Yeah, on the road. I mean, that was a tremendous win for Cleveland. He was awesome in the second half. But Ziggy, since you brought up the question, I'll throw it to you first. There's not much you can do about this Deshaun Watson situation, right?
No, I mean, Deshaun Watson has $200 million fully guaranteed dollars left on his contract.
You see the cap hits, the dead cap hits if you get rid of Deshaun Watson?
No, you simply cannot get rid of him. So the question has to turn from, what do we do? Is he better than Joe Flacco? Should we just bench him and pay him $200 million to sit there? You can't do that. The question becomes, how do we surround Deshaun Watson with talent? Mm-hmm. Hopefully more than we have. I get that Amari Cooper's a functional wide receiver one, sort of. But how do we surround him with more talent while we pay him this outrageous salary?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the Browns don't have a lot of options. I expect that Nick Chubb will have to take a pay cut or he's going to get cut. Right? They're not paying Nick Chubb the $15 million cap hit that he wants this year.
Not coming off that injury.
Yeah, no. So they're going to have some tough choices as they're tight against the salary cap. The question just is, how do you make things better? Do you focus on the defense? There are a few ways I can see them going, but getting a wide receiver one for Watson, I think, has to be a priority with this draft and these free agents.
This team, Paul, you said before Watson went down, he looked flat out awesome. Beat the best team in the AFC in their home building, a team who didn't really lose there at all. A team that felt unbeatable there. This team goes to the postseason with Joe Flacco, and granted, he looked rejuvenated, but again, it's Joe Flacco. The number 5 seed. This team has what it takes to go far and to win. The defense is awesome. Defensive Player of the Year, and he won the award, but he's not my Defensive Player of the Year, but he won the award. One of the best defenses in football. And if Deshaun Watson can put together an effort, stay healthy and put together an effort like he did against Baltimore and continue that. Now Chubb's back. The offensive line's good. Like, consistency, exactly. This team is really, really solid, but we have yet to see the Browns ever do that.
It's funny, Ziggy. You bring up Amari Cooper, and in some ways, I feel like Amari Cooper is both the most criminally underrated receiver in the league
and the most overrated.
And at the same time, just completely overrated in that, the money that he makes and taking on the wide receiver one role. He has good numbers, and he has a couple, like once a year you see the Amari Cooper game where he goes for 240 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But then he'll just disappear for a while. And it cannot be a situation where you're rolling out Amari Cooper with Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman next year if you have Deshaun Watson at quarterback.
Yeah, even if you think Amari Cooper is good, right? At the end of the year last year, David Bell was number 2, right? Goodwin, Tillman, and Moore were all hurt. And Amari Cooper had that heel injury too. David Njoku magically didn't miss any games after burning his whole face off.
Well, you love Njoku, and he actually, last year, he was great.
Oh, he's probably number 2.
He 100% is.
For sure.
He 100% is. But at receiver, you just can't roll out a lineup of Cooper, Moore, and Cedric Tillman. Especially in the AFC, if they can go and get someone. Now, this is where you can kind of start to have fun if you're a Browns fan. I know a lot of them some of them were talking about T. Higgins. He's not, that was never going to happen. But when you throw out a couple now, let's have a little fun with this for a second here, guys. I saw a hypothetical trade. CD Lamb. Yeah, CD Lamb. I saw a hypothetical Brandon Ayuk trade, which, could be interesting. Mike Evans. What is any interest in Mike Evans to pair with Amari Cooper?
Well, I hope not. He's got to stay down in Tampa with Baker.
Yeah, he's your guy.
I hope he doesn't leave.
But if you can't get Mike Evans, that's now here where you could start looking at guys like Gabe Davis, Marquise Brown. Calvin Ridley is someone we mentioned on one of the more recent shows. If I were a team that needed a receiver, I would 100% go after Calvin Ridley.
What about DeAndre Hopkins?
You can take a swing.
A little rejuvenation with D Watt and D Hop.
There's guys in the draft too, right? Like Brian Thomas should be on the board, Troy Franklin, Lad McConkey. So there are a lot of options there too.
I hate Lad
McConkey.
I'm just saying that the Browns are going to get, whether it's in free agency or the draft, they're going to get a big name wide receiver. They have to.
Tyler Boyd in division.
I saw Pittsburgh rumors too for Tyler Boyd.
I saw that as well. But yeah, you're like basically what it comes down to is if you're the Browns, you got to improve the offense more, the weapons to throw to, because this team is ready to win now. And if you get Deshaun Watson, you don't need him to be a superstar. You really just need him to be good. And I think that he is capable of doing that.
They'll win like 6 games.
Right. How bad does that deal look? Oh my God. It's like unbelievable. Ziggy, real quick before we move on to the Steelers, if there was one of these receivers that you could go after, who would be the guy in free agency? Or would you just say pass? Let's get someone in the draft.
If you can get a decent price for Mike Evans, the man has shown no matter what the quarterback situation is, he'll put up 1,000 or more yards and a handful of touchdowns. That kind of production to get yards, to get touchdowns, no matter what.
Got a cold coming on.
You absolutely, if he's available. You talked about Amari Cooper being kind of underrated. Mike Evans is that guy, period.
But are you going to give him $20-something million a year?
You have to try and take advantage of this window while you can. You're already committed to Deshaun Watson for years. Commit a little bit more and go for it.
All right. Mike Evans to the Browns. There's the headline.
I hope not.
There's the headline. Oh, he's so good.
Oh, he's great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a monster.
I need him in Tampa with Baker.
And
all right.